Chapter 1420. Gu Mengmeng took out her phone in a daze and entered the bank app to check her balance. Oh my, so many zeros, making Gu Mengmeng dizzy. She couldn't even count them clearly. Snake turned off her phone and smiled. Don't count, it's just a string of numbers. You just need to know that you can buy whatever you want now that you have money. Gu Mengmeng was stunned for a moment before she suddenly looked up and smiled brightly. So you can't use the 7 to 9 clause to threaten me anymore. I can pay you 300,000 for breaching the contract, right? Snake raised his eyebrows. Now that you have money, the first thing you want to do is to dump me. Let me remind you, I'm worth more than those numbers in your bank account. Gu Mengmeng just grinned foolishly and said, that's different. Tell me, can I dump 300,000 from you for breaching the contract and become a free person? Snake smiled helplessly and nodded. Gu Mengmeng raised her hand happily. Ye free. Snakel really loved Gu Mengmeng's naive look. All he did was hand over a year's worth of annual salary, and she was so happy that she looked like a fool. Freedom. Ha, with just this bit of money, he would make her pay in less than 3 minutes. As long as he didn't want to let go, she couldn't buy her freedom even if she had the world's wealth. Moreover, she only had a few tens of millions in her hands. Gu Mengmeng laughed for a long time before taking 2 deep breaths. All right, let's forget about it. I don't know how to manage a business. If such a big company is handed over to me, it will definitely go bankrupt. If we can't tear up the contract, let's get it back to the notary. You have the courage to make fun of the nobles, but I don't have the courage to be a Bao-Si. It's alright if you don't know how to manage, you can hire me. Snake hugged Gu Mengmeng's shoulders. I'm very cheap. Not only do I not need you to pay me, I can even provide for your food and lodging, make you happy and warm your bed. You're getting more and more indecent. Gu Mengmeng elbowed Snake. Stop fooling around. I really can't accept this kind of gift. It's too burdensome. Silly. Snake kissed Gu Mengmeng's little head. What's there to be burdensome about? What is yours and what is mine is ours, and what is ours is yours. It's just a small business. Isn't it the same no matter whose name it is? As long as you don't fly me, I don't care about anything else. The small company you're talking about is Monster Group, which has assets of tens of billions of USD. I really can't take it. You're scaring me. Gu Mengmeng shook Snake's arm and begged, accepting such an expensive gift just because we're dating, what will others say about me in the future? Snakel smiled and said, how should I put it? I would probably say that you are a hidden rich man who came to school just to provide for me. Your mind is not on your studies at all, so your results have not been ideal. Gu Mengmeng was taken aback. So, you did it because you heard those girls gossiping about my results in the toilet yesterday. Snake did not deny it, but neither did he admit it. He just smiled. Chapter 1421. The students all started spreading rumors in private, saying that Gu Mengmeng was being kept by a rich and powerful man. And when they personally witnessed that the person who stood up for Gu Mengmeng was Snake's classmate, they all kept their mouths shut and no one dared to reveal Snake's identity. This caused the rumors to become even more exaggerated. The list of people who kept Gu Mengmeng's lovers had swept away almost all the big shots in the political and financial circles, except for Snake. Snake did not like Gu Mengmeng to be paired up with others, not even rumors. Her name could only be paired up with Snake's name and linked together. But if he stood out as the CEO of Monsieur, then the dirty water would still be poured onto Gu Mengmeng, and the sugar daddy would only be Snake. Moreover, Gu Mengmeng would most likely be twisted into all sorts of B** cheese, and be condemned by keyboard warriors. Snake did not want Gu Mengmeng to suffer from all these. So, if one of them had to be a mistress, then he would be the one. A share transfer agreement had turned Gu Mengmeng into the CEO of a company with assets of 10 billion USD. Then, all the shopping, villas and luxury cars that Imo Bebe had previously taken out would naturally be rationalized. And being Gu Mingming's sugar daddy sounded quite interesting. Using beauty to seduce Tu Meng, this was definitely a compliment to Snake. Of course, if Tu Meng minded that their relationship had been twisted by others, he just had to announce another identity that could match Gu Mingming's. If there really was no identity that could match the low-profile Monster company, he could just establish another company. These were all small matters, why bother? So, after he had Gu Mengmeng sign the share transfer agreement, he arranged for someone to spread the news in school. As expected, the moment he arrived at school, everyone started pointing fingers at him. In the past, he hated it when other people's gazes were focused on him, but today, he felt especially good being stared at. There was no other reason but because everyone's topic of discussion today was, look. He's Gu Mingming's sugar daddy. Yup, the whole world knew that he was Tu Ming's man. This felt so much better than the word embroidered on his chest. It felt so good. Gu Mengmeng looked at Snake's enigmatic smile and did not know what he was thinking about. She pushed his arm and said, "Actually, you don't have to be like this. It's a fact that your results are not good. Let them say whatever they want. If you really want to help me, just tutor me and raise my grades. It's too scary to throw an entire enterprise at me. My heart can't take it." Snake rubbed Gu Mingming's little head and hugged her in his arms. "Don't overcomplicate this matter. Just do what you have to do. I will settle Monster's matter and I won't let you suffer. Moreover, that company originally belonged to you. Belongs to me." Gu Mengmeng was confused. "Of course. I've said it before. Everything I want to give you is yours." Snakel pinched Gu Mingming's face with a smile, then said, "Aren't you curious why it's called Monster Company?" Gu Mengmeng thought about it and nodded. Chapter 1422. Snake looked at Gu Mengmeng calmly. His expression was so calm that it was impeccable. "That's impossible. Monster Company has been established for more than 5 years and you just met me this semester. How could it be possible?" Gu Mengmeng was really dumbfounded. Snake placed his palm in front of Gu Mengmeng and said, "Tu Meng." "What?" Gu Mengmeng instinctively responded and placed her hand in Snake's. Ever since he snatched her love letter, he had been calling her that every now and then. It was almost a conditioned reflex. Snake smiled and held Gu Mingming's little fist. He brought it to his lips and kissed it. "Do you believe in the predestined past and present lives?" Gu Mengmeng smiled awkwardly and shook her head. Snake chuckled and said, "I didn't believe it in the past but now I do. Perhaps a person's life is a continuous cycle of reincarnation. After living in this life and dying, crossing the bridge of helplessness, drinking the soup of Meng, then descending to the human world again to experience everything in the previous life. The cycle repeats endlessly. As for me, I loved you so much in my previous life so I did not drink the soup of Meng even after crossing the bridge of helplessness, or maybe I did drink it but that soup could not overcome my love for you. So I still remember how much I love you." "Ah." Gu Mingming's face was full of disdain. She raised her arm for Snake to see. "My hairs are all standing up. My great CEO, you should stop reading so many romance novels. It's very touching to hear such a sentence in a novel but it's so disgusting to hear it in person." Snake chuckled. He did not get angry no matter how she ridiculed him. Instead, he loved how she became more and more presumptuous in front of him. In the beast world, she was always so careful in front of him. Now that he thought about it, she might just be afraid of snakes. "Then, since you love me so much, don't make things difficult for me. Hurry and take back Monster Company." Gu Mengmeng begged. Snake shook his head and said, "There's no such thing as taking back something you've given away. But if you're willing to press your nose and squeal like a little pig, I can reluctantly help you settle the media meeting in the afternoon and not let your identity be exposed." Gu Meng Meng exploded. "What? There's even a media meeting?" Snake nodded and took out his cell phone to randomly open a news website. The top headline was about the change in the CEO of Monster Company, as well as all sorts of speculations about tonight's press conference. Without any hesitation, Gu Meng Meng pressed the tip of her nose upwards and then snorted like a pig. Snake smiled and rubbed her face, his eyes full of affection. Perhaps, even Snake himself had never expected that his pair of sinister eyes, feared by the entire beast world, would one day become so gentle. "You're so adorable." With that, he hugged Gu Meng Meng in his arms and rubbed her for a while before saying, "All right, let's go back to class first. Leave the rest to me." Gu Meng Meng only felt that her head was about to explode. She could only allow Snake to half push and half hug her back to the classroom. The class was already halfway through and Gu Meng Meng wanted to sneak in from the back door, but why would Snake do such a thing? He directly pushed open the door and walked into the classroom with Gu Meng Meng in his arms. The seat where Gu Meng Meng's bag was placed was still empty. No one dared to touch Gu Meng Meng's things. Chapter 14:23. The morning classes passed in a daze. Gu Meng Meng had yet to recover from the shock of a poor student turning into a multimillionaire with hundreds of billions of assets. Snake, the top student in the second year, acted as if he did not need to go to school. Every day, he would follow Gu Meng Meng's schedule and attend whatever classes she had. When Gu Meng Meng had no classes, he would accompany her to wander around the school. When Gu Meng Meng skipped classes, he would also skip classes with her. Hence, since Gu Meng Meng did not have any classes in the afternoon, Snake dragged Gu Meng Meng to the basketball club. Gu Meng Meng did not have any plans and she was used to being led by the nose by Snake, so she was used to him sticking to her. It was as if the two of them were conjoined twins and she did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. When they reached the basketball club, Zhang Jinqing and the rest were already warming up. Bailan was holding onto a mineral water bottle as she watched Zhang Jinqing and the rest practice, cheering them on from time to time. Seeing that Gu Meng Meng had arrived, Bailan threw away her water bottle and pounced over to hug Gu Meng Meng. She chuckled. "Girl, did you miss me?" Gu Meng Meng glanced at Zhang Jinqing and said sourly, "What's the use of me missing you? You must be in a honeyed relationship now, flushed with success and enjoying yourself to the point of forgetting home, right? In this world, one can only hear the new laugh and never hear the old cry." "That's impossible." Bailan completely ignored Snake's existence. She hooked her arms around Gu Meng Meng's neck and forcefully pulled her out of his arms. She said as she walked, "New clothes are not as good as old people. How can a new lover have old hobbies? Isn't that right? As long as you say the word, I will immediately fly away. Zhang Jinqing will be with you forever, flying wing to wing, how about that?" Gu Meng Meng could already see Snake's face turning from white to green and now, it was turning a little black. She poked Bailan and said, "Forget it, I will not do something like breaking up a pair of lovebirds." "Tsk, coward." Bailan naturally saw that Gu Meng Meng was looking at Snake's expression. She laughed and did not continue teasing her. It was true that Bailan was carefree, but she would never do anything that would put Gu Meng Meng in a difficult position. She could tell that Gu Meng Meng had fallen into Snake's hands. This little girl was just experiencing her first awakening of love and was definitely not a match for someone of Snake's level. In order not to let Gu Meng Meng suffer even more when she was not around, Bailan knew when to stop. She would not allow Snake to use her as an excuse to bully Gu Meng Meng behind her back. Of course, Bailan was purely because of Snake's usual aloof and domineering persona. Actually, strictly speaking, Snake's level of love was on par with Gu Meng Meng's. Their love experience and sources were both Korean dramas and novels. The difference was that Gu Mengmeng watched them on her own while Snake received them passively from Gu Mengmeng's memories. In other words, these were all theories on paper. It was the first time for a young lady to experience it in a bridal sedan chair, so no one should laugh at each other. Snake was displeased that Bailon had snatched her from his arms, but he could not snatch her back openly, so he could only rub her head and say, "I will go change, don't go too far. I want to see you the moment I step out of the changing room." "All right." Gu Mengmeng replied softly and even smiled sweetly. Chapter 14:24. When Snakel came out of the changing room, he saw Gu Mengmeng curled up into a ball on the chair, looking pitiful. Bai Lan's left foot was stepping on the edge of Gu Mengmeng's chair, her right hand supporting the back of the chair as she circled Gu Mengmeng in an extremely rough and barbaric position. She pinched Gu Mengmeng's shoulder with her right hand and shook it with all her might, her saliva flying everywhere as she scolded, "Gu Mengmeng, let me tell you, if you damn care about him, not only are you stupid, you're also a B*TCH. Did you forget that when you were in the first year of junior high, your stepfather did not give you any money for your school fees? You were forced to ask him for child support, but what happened in the end? He allowed that mistress to slap you on the streets, and your ears were still ringing 3 days after you came back. The left side of your face was swollen for a week before it went down. In the end, he did not even give you a single cent after you were beaten up so badly, right? I brought you to argue with him, but what did he say? He said you were beaten up because you did not respect your elders, and did not call the mistress mother. It's only right for a mother to teach her daughter a lesson. You said bad things about her in front of others because of your poor upbringing. I slapped you too lightly that day, right?" Gu Mengmeng nodded with reddened eyes. Bailon roared angrily, "Didn't I ask him then? Forcing you to call a B*TCH who broke up your family, turning you from a happy child to an orphan, mother, how shameless can he be? What did he say to me? Tell me." Gu Mengmeng bit her lower lip and said in a sobbing tone, "He said if I was a son, he would definitely not divorce my mother. If I want to blame someone, I can only blame myself for not being able to carry on the Gu family line. I can't blame him for being so disappointing. What else?" Bailon was relentless. Gu Mingming's tears rolled down her cheeks as she said in a hoarse voice, "He told me not to be as shameless as my mother. He is not a son, so why should I spend his money? He told me not to appear in front of him again, lest I destroy the harmony of his family. He said every cent of his money is to be left for his son. Then why the hell is he looking for you now?" Bailon gritted her teeth in anger, her eyes turning red as she stared at Gu Mengmeng. She looked as if she was pitiful for her misfortune and angry at her failure to live up to her expectations. She steeled her heart and could not bear to continue scolding her. She hugged Gu Mengmeng and said, "Girl, let me tell you, you cannot be so cowardly. No matter why he comes back to you, you can't take care of him. Otherwise, your soft-heartedness and kindness will kill you sooner or later." I know. Gu Mengmeng nodded while wiping her tears. Today was their daily practice. Having learned their lesson from last time, there were already people guarding the entrance during the basketball club's practice to prevent random people from entering. He had no choice. Snakel's status was high, and if he said he didn't like being surrounded by people, the school would naturally give him some peace. So, only the basketball club's internal members had seen Gu Mengmeng crying like that today. The moment Zhang Jinqing came out, he saw Bailon pressing down on Gu Mengmeng and scolding her. His entire face turned green, he was so afraid that Snake would lose control and kick Bailon away. He was already mentally prepared to be Bailan's punching bag. Luckily, Snake only looked upset and did not make a move. Chapter 14:25. Gu Mengmeng nodded and smiled embarrassedly. Only then did she realize that the basketball club members had been standing there looking at her for a long time. Her ugly cry just now must have been seen by everyone. Snake gave Zhang Jinqing a look and Zhang Jinqing immediately understood and pulled Bailon to one side. Snake then walked up and hugged Gu Mengmeng in his arms. You have already cried twice over this matter. I have already reached my limit. If you don't want to see me capture them and burn their bones to ashes, you are not allowed to cry over this matter in the future. Do you understand? Gu Mengmeng nodded. Gu Mengmeng instinctively buried her face into Snake's chest and nodded her head slightly. She really had no face to see anyone now. If she told everyone that the person who was crying like a dog just now was not her, but her twin sister, would anyone believe her? Or should she say that she had two personalities? Gu Mengmeng was in a dilemma when Bailon shouted, "What are you all looking at? Don't you need to practice? Practice, practice, practice." Ever since Zhang Jinqing confirmed his relationship with Bailon, he had been listening to Bailan's words as if they were imperial edicts. Bailon tooted at Snake but did not say anything. Gu Mengmeng pushed Snake and said, "You go practice too, I will just sit here and watch." Not crying anymore. Snake cupped Gu Mengmeng's face and asked. Gu Mengmeng nodded and said, "Not crying anymore." Snake then smiled and kissed her forehead. "That's good. You are already ugly and you look even uglier when you cry. You." Gu Mengmeng was exasperated and snorted without saying a word. Snake pinched her bun-like little face and entered the court in satisfaction. He dribbled the ball for 2 rounds as a warm-up, before starting a 3-on-3 practice that was even more exciting than an exhibition match. Gu Mengmeng's Bailon watched from the side. Although she did not understand the rules and details, she had to say that the slam dunk was really cool. There was a loud bang, and the shock was not just a little. The slam dunk was so cool. Gu Mengmeng held Bailan's hand and muttered. Snake's hearing was much better than the average person's, especially when he was paying attention to Gu Mengmeng's movements. He naturally heard that sentence. So he glanced sideways at Gu Mengmeng and called out, "Tu Meng." Gu Mengmeng looked up, "Aw." Instinctively, she responded. Then, she saw Snake displaying the exaggerated and flashy dunks from Slam Dunk and Kuriko's basketball in a superb manner. Then, he used his arm to clamp the ball on his waist and walked in front of Gu Mengmeng. He leaned forward to accommodate Gu Mengmeng's height and looked into her eyes. "Does it look good?" Gu Mengmeng nodded and said, "Good, good, so handsome. It's a pity that I'm not tall enough. Otherwise, I'd join the basketball club. I really want to try it. Slam dunks or something. They look so cool." Snakel smiled and the ball landed on the back of his foot. He hooked his leg and used the back of his foot and calf to stabilize the ball. Then, he grabbed Gu Mengmeng's waist with both hands and lifted her above his head, riding on his neck. After Gu Mengmeng sat down, he lifted his leg and kicked the ball into his hands. He carried Gu Mengmeng to the bottom of the basket and patted the ball twice before tossing it up to Gu Mengmeng. "Didn't you want to try it? Dunk it." "Aw." Gu Mengmeng was dumbfounded. She held the ball and did not know what to do. Chapter 14:26. The white fog gradually condensed. Gu Mengmeng stretched lazily and stood up from the beast deity's side. She realized that the beast deity and Elvis were looking at her with strange expressions. She thought about it and understood. My tragic childhood has passed for a long time. I am living a good life now and every day is blissful and fulfilling. I don't have the time to dwell on the grudges of the previous generation. Gu Mengmeng walked into Elvis's arms and hugged him. Then, she smiled and said, just like what Elvis said, if all the sufferings I experienced in the past were necessary for me to meet him and Leah, then those sufferings were all worth it. Even if it was a little more painful, I can still endure it. Elvis hugged Gu Mengmeng tightly and kissed her temple. He could not say a word. His heart was in so much pain that it could not be any more painful. Thousands of words of consolation were stuck in his throat. He could not even think of a suitable sentence to say. The beast deity sighed and said, "It's all right, it's best if you forget. He doesn't cherish you, his precious daughter, but I cherish you. He values men over women, so I sent you to a world where women are more important than men. The grievances you suffered at his place, I'll make it up to you double." Gu Mengmeng smiled sweetly and said, "So, it's enough for me to have you as my father." The beast deity nodded. His eyes were still filled with heartache. "Then other than asking about Wabi, do you have anything else you want to ask this time?" The beast deity looked like he was trying to make up for all the sufferings his daughter had suffered. It was as if he would agree to whatever Gu Mengmeng asked for this time. Gu Mengmeng smiled. She felt that if she did not ask for an exorbitant price, she would be letting down her father's good intentions. But she decided to forget it. Father was the beast deity, but there seemed to be a leader above him. She was a sensible daughter and could not make things difficult for her father. So she thought for a moment and replied, "I will be heading to the Moda Mountains during the dry season. Father, do you have any instructions for me?" The beast deity thought for a moment. He looked at Elvis and then at Gu Mengmeng and said, "I think Gregory is not bad. Are you really not considering taking him in? There was no harm in having someone who could fly in the family. I have measured his abilities and after mating, he should be able to reach the 4th level and is close to the 5th level. If he works hard, he should be able to reach the 5th level in less than a year. By then, you can give Cole's soul of the forest to him and then give the spirit of the rocky cliffs to your little fox. Your family will have 4 beast kings and you can form an air, sea, land and land team. By then, there will be nothing you can't do and you will be invincible." Gu Mengmeng held her forehead and said, "Father, I don't have any grand plans to rule the beast world. TSK, look at you." The beast deity pinched Gu Mengmeng's nose and said, "Then even if we don't unify the beast world, isn't it good to go for a ride in the sky when we have nothing to do? Besides, Gregory's appearance is not bad, so he should be in line with your taste." Gu Mengmeng glanced at Elvis, whose expression was becoming more and more serious. She shot a meaningful glance at the beast deity and said, "Father, how can you make things difficult for your own daughter?" The beast deity rubbed his fingers and said nonchalantly, "Stopping females from taking in new partners is a big taboo in the beast world. Aren't you afraid that the males from other females will follow suit? By then, all of them will be like them, using their powerful abilities to stop females from taking in new partners. According to the ratio of males to females in the beast world, you don't have to unify the beast world anymore. The beast world will probably be extinct very soon." Aside from the topic, it was the end of the month and the monthly tickets would expire if they were not used. On account of Susu's hard work this month, she would give the monthly tickets to Susu then. Susu would try her best to save up her draft so that she could give her babies another round of votes. Chapter 14:27. "I don't think so." Gu Mengmeng smiled bitterly. The beast deity waved his hand and Gu Mengmeng went to his side obediently. The beast deity pulled Gu Mengmeng to sit on the 2-seater bench and asked, "Do you know how many partners the previous messenger of the beast deity had?" Gu Mengmeng thought for a moment and said, "I heard there were over 100. It was said that her family was so big that it was like a tribe." The beast deity chuckled and said, 172. Gu Mengmeng shook her head in shock, dumbfounded and speechless. The beast deity continued, "Then guess, how many mating marks does she have on her body?" Gu Mengmeng instinctively answered, 172. The beast deity knocked Gu Mengmeng's head with a smile and pointed at her collarbone, saying, 172 marks of this size. Can they fit on her body? Gu Mengmeng lowered her head to take a look and agreed with him, so she asked, then, the beast deity stretched out 4 fingers and said, only 4. Only 4. Gu Mengmeng was shocked. How should she put it? The education that modern people received was different. Gu Mengmeng felt extremely guilty for having 2 partners and always felt that she owed one and the other. So in front of Elvis and Leah, she always acted coquettishly and softly when she met with problems. She rarely had the domineering aura of the females in the beast world. And now, the reason why she said the word only was because the number given by the beast deity was too high. There were 172 partners, but only 4 of them had a mark. What kind of concept was this? The remaining 168 meant that they would be widows for the rest of their lives. The beast deity seemed to have seen through Gu Mingming's thoughts and said, the females in the beast world can have today's status in the family because of the foundation Wang Xiaoxin laid down. Males couldn't go against the wishes of females, and they couldn't stop females from taking in new partners. Even if they had status, they couldn't force females to mate. Females had absolute leadership in the entire family. If males wanted to have the opportunity to mate and reproduce, the only way was to treat females well. This has been passed down for thousands of years, and that is why females have today's status. You and Wang Xiaoxin have the same status, so your family situation will directly affect the family structure of the entire beast world. But Gu Mengmeng was in a difficult position. She knew that she was in a position and had to plan for her own affairs, but 172 partners, that image was terrifying just thinking about it. Gu Mengmeng felt that with her brain cells, she might not even be able to remember the names of her partners. The beast deity shook his head and interrupted Gu Mingming's words. I'm not asking you to accept everything. Just be like Oritin and give him the title of guardian beast. Wait a minute. Gu Mengmeng was dumbfounded. Oritin is just someone who shares meals with me. He's not my man. The beast god chuckled. He is. What the heck? Gu Mingming's face was filled with fear. No. I didn't, that. Elvis tightened his grip on Gu Mingming's waist and said, he's our family's guardian beast. It's just that both of you have no intention of mating, so Leah and I didn't mention it. But other than you, everyone else, including Oritin, Leah and I, have already silently acknowledged his status as a member of the family. Ah. Gu Mengmeng felt as though she was struck by lightning. Chapter 1428. Gu Mengmeng was stunned for a long while before she said, then wouldn't I be wasting Oritin's life? No, I won't let him eat here in the future. Elvis sighed and said, if you make this decision, it's equivalent to abandoning him. Although he did not mate with you, his status has already been recognized by the beast world. If you don't want him, no female will want him. Moreover, in his eyes, food is more important than females. So if you don't let him eat here, that's really wasting his life. I'll go. Gu Mengmeng squatted down with a dejected face and said, why do I feel like I'm defiling a lady? Elvis also squatted down and carried Gu Mengmeng up. He said, you might find it awkward to say we're guardian beasts. In other words, do you still remember what you said about favored concubines, dancers, and followers? Oritin is probably like a retainer who sold himself into our family. We provide for his food and lodging, and he helps you bully others. Both parties are willing, no one is forcing the other, and it's not like you're defiling him. Moreover, if you want to defile males, I, the favored concubine and Leah, the dancer, are still waiting. How can he get his turn? Gu Mengmeng blinked her eyes and turned to look at the beast deity. She asked, so, Wang Xiaoxin's so-called 172 partners, most of them are hired thugs and not partners. There are only 4 real partners, right? The beast deity shook his head and said, Wang Xiaoxin only acknowledged whales as her partner. The remaining 3, can only be considered as lovers. Gu Mengmeng was speechless once again. She also had 2 partners. As long as she was not the only one, then it was the pot calling the kettle black. No one was better than the other. So she was not in a position to criticize or mock Wang Xiaoxin. But for Gu Mengmeng to learn from Wang Xiaoxin and have over 100 men by her side, even if they were not husband and wife, Gu Mengmeng would still feel awkward with the false title of Gu Mengmeng's man. Now that she thought about it, she did not know how to face Oritin. She had thought they were friends and it was just a matter of adding a pair of chopsticks during a meal. In the end, she ended up ruining his reputation as they ate. If she had any thoughts about Oritin, it was fine. At most, she would just go with the flow and let the conditions be right. But the problem was that she had no feelings for Oritin. To her, Oritin, he might as well have feelings for Leah. The beast deity cleared his throat and said, Gregory has fallen for you. Even if you can't accept him like how you accepted Leah, you should be able to accept Oritin, right? Just give him a chance to stay by your side and take care of you. If you develop feelings for him in the future, you can accept him. If you can't, he can just be another fighter. There's nothing bad about that. Anyway, he can rely on himself and not only will he not be a burden, he can even help you enrich your dining table. Isn't it good to get some food for you that Elvis and Leah can't? Gu Mengmeng paused for 2 seconds before looking at the beast deity and blinking her eyes. Father, tell me the truth. Did you receive benefits from others? You've been acting weird today. You've been speaking up for Gregory and trying to get me to take him in. Is there? Ha. Ha ha. You're thinking too much. No, definitely not. The beast god turned his face away guiltily and looked to the side. Chapter 14:29. The beast deity rubbed his nose and said, All right, I will speak the truth. The beast deity looked like he could not do anything to Gu Mengmeng inside, then said, After you obtain the love of the sky, you will become the lord of the birds. The bird tribe will be guided by your bloodline to follow you. For thousands of years, the bird tribe has never left Moda Mountains, so they will definitely feel uneasy after leaving the mountains. So I think, if you allow Gregory to join your family, it will be a form of psychological support and security for the entire bird tribe. At least they will not feel too flustered and helpless. And Gregory can also use his status as the messenger's partner to coordinate the relationship between the birds and the land beasts. After all, among the land beasts, only the wolf tribe and fox tribe have beast kings. One of them is your partner, the other, will soon be replaced by your partner. If you become a family member with these 2 beast kings, many things will be easily resolved. Gu Mengmeng looked at the beast deity doubtfully and asked, Is that really the case? Gu Mengmeng dragged out her words, obviously not believing him. The beast deity cleared his throat and said, Not entirely. There are some other reasons that I cannot tell you now, but you have to believe that I am your biological father and will not harm you. Gu Mengmeng's face was full of reluctance as she said, I already feel bad for making use of the fact that Gregory likes me at Moda Mountains previously. Now, I still want to make use of the fact that he likes me even though I know I'm destined to let him down. Father, is it really alright for you to personally train your daughter into a scumbag? The beast deity stiffened his neck and said, Who said my daughter is a scumbag? Humph, have you never seen a beast deity angry before? Gu Mengmeng shook her head and said, I feel that there are many ways to balance the relationship between the 2 tribes. Marriage is not the only solution. The beast deity tugged at Gu Mengmeng's little hand and said, But this is the most effective method. Firstly, the bird tribe will have a place of sustenance after leaving the mountains. Secondly, you have not taken in any new members for 4 years. There are already rumors in the beast world about Elvis and Lee's domineering ways. Many males have even started to imitate their style of doing things. Didn't you see it with your own eyes when winter ended last year? The fire fox in St. Nazir's Liana's family had already started to think about their first partner. This time you discovered it and beat him up in time, but what about next time? How many times would you be able to discover such thoughts? How many times could he stop it? When the atmosphere in the beast world changes, it would be impossible for you to turn the tide. I'm not saying that you have to mate with Gregory. Just treat it as a new servant. Can't you do that? It wasn't that it was impossible to recruit servants, but the problem was, which family would recruit servants for life? Even if they sold themselves as slaves in ancient times, they could still marry a maid and start a family, right? But if these servants were to be recruited into the beast world, they would be labeled as Gumingmings and could only hang around her for the rest of their lives. Isn't this a scourge? The beast deity did not force her to make a decision immediately. He just patted the back of her hand and said, "Anyway, there's still some time before the dry season, there's no rush to decide now. Go back and discuss this with your fox, and ask Gregory for his opinion as well. What if he's willing to be your retainer for the rest of his life?" Chapter 1430. Okay, go ahead. The beast deity did not harp on Gregory's matter anymore. He had already analyzed the pros and cons for Gu Meng Meng. He could not forcefully interfere with the matters of the beast world. Gu Meng Meng said, "Cole wants to gather the 7 treasures and open the doors of time and space to transmigrate there to rule the earth." Gu Meng Meng rolled her eyes as she spoke. She truly felt that Cole was a patient with a Chinibu syndrome. Just talking about his ideals and goals made her feel like a retard. Taking a deep breath, he continued, "You said last time that even if the 7 treasures are gathered, the time gate will open here, right? This dream, without me leading the way, can Cole enter by himself?" The beast god hesitated for a moment before nodding. Gu Meng Meng sighed. She knew it would be like this. Because Snake had appeared here before, and he seemed to have arrived earlier than her. Gu Meng Meng held her forehead and said, "So if I want to stop him, I have to kill him before he gathers the 7 treasures." The beast deity shook his head. "Unless you want to give up on Qi Xian, you cannot kill him. If it's the bewitching spell, maybe I have other ways to undo it." The beast god replied, "It's not the bewitching spell. It's the soul of the forest." Gu Meng Meng frowned in confusion. The beast deity explained patiently, "The soul of the forest has a total of 2 leaves. One of them saved Qi Xuan's life, while the other allowed Cole to regrow a broken arm and tail. Both leaves had already spread out and were living together on the same branch. If Cole died now, the effect of the soul of the forest would also disappear. At that time, Qi Xian." Gu Meng Meng bit her lower lip. "What if I snatch the soul of the forest?" The beast deity shook his head and said, "When the second leaf bloomed, the soul of the forest had already grown its roots. Now, the roots are intertwined with Cole's heart. If you forcefully take it, Cole will definitely die. So I can't do anything to Cole now." Gu Mingming's shoulders drooped weakly as she collapsed into Elvis's arms. The beast deity lowered his gaze and said, "It's not that there's no way, but we have to take a gamble." Gu Meng Meng looked up at the beast deity, waiting for him to continue. The beast god said, "Gathering the 7 treasures can open the gate of time and space, but at the same time, it can also fulfill a wish." Gu Meng Meng rolled her eyes and said, "What you mean is, not only can I not stop Cole from gathering the 7 treasures, I should also help him gather them. Then when the 7 treasures are gathered, I will kill Cole and use my wish to exchange for Qi Xuan's life." The beast deity nodded, indicating that what Gu Meng Meng said was exactly what he was thinking. Gu Meng Meng nodded and said, "All right, father, then I will go back first. My mind is in a mess now, I need to go back and discuss it with Leah." "All right." The beast deity stood in the clouds, waving his sleeves as he watched Gu Meng Meng fall backwards. When she opened her eyes, Gu Meng Meng was stunned for a moment. The fox in front of her should be Leah, but why did he look different? Gu Meng Meng reached out her hand to touch Lee's face. Leah smiled and dodged it. He brought a cup of water over and supported Gu Meng Meng's waist to help her sit up. He brought the cup to her lips and said, "Drink some water first." Chapter 1431. Leah chuckled and allowed Gu Meng Meng to kiss his face until it was covered in water. He did not mind and just let Gu Meng Meng hang around his neck like a little monkey. He placed the cup at the side and held Gu Meng Meng's but with both hands to pull her into his arms. Then, he looked at Elvis and asked, "What did he say?" Elvis filled a large cup of water for himself and then repeated what the beast deity had said to Gu Meng Meng, including the information he saw about Gu Meng Meng's scumbag father in the dream realm. After he finished, Gu Meng Meng clearly saw Lee's face darken. His long and narrow eyes were filled with a storm and Gu Meng Meng could even see the green veins popping out on his forehead. The corners of his lips were pulled to one side and that was how he looked like when he was extremely angry. Good, very good. Not only did they not take good care of you, they even abandoned you, despised you and used harsh words to ridicule you. They even dared to hit you. Every single word that Bailon said to Gu Meng Meng in the dream realm was like a sharp knife cutting into Leah and Elvis's hearts. Leah squeezed each word out from the gaps of his teeth. With every word, his eyes turned a shade redder and in the end, because of the unbearable pain in his chest, his expression became a little hideous. He hugged Gu Meng Meng tightly in his arms, as if he wanted to rub her into his body. His breathing was heavy and hot and he let out a deep and resonating voice from his chest. He whispered into Gu Meng Meng's ear, "You are the treasure in my heart, how could you be bullied by them like that?" Actually, when she saw that scene in the dream realm, Gu Meng Meng's heart ached for a moment but she quickly adjusted her emotions. After all, things had changed and she could pull herself away. But now that Leah said that, she suddenly felt a little sore in her nose. She looked up at Elvis who was pursing his lips in self-reproach and forbearance, full of heartache. Gu Meng Meng suddenly let out a stream of tears. That feeling was like when you were alone and you had clenched your teeth to endure it, but when someone doted on you, all your grievances would be overflowing. These tears were not sad, but instead, there was a faint hint of happiness. Gu Meng Meng smiled and said, "It's all right, it's all in the past. I've already forgotten." Leah held Gu Meng Meng's shoulders and kissed away her tears. Then, he kissed her lips. His voice was trembling from heartache. "But, you cried." Gu Meng Meng shook her head and said, "It's not because I'm sad that I'm crying. I just suddenly felt very blessed that someone would feel sorry for me when I was wronged. Actually, compared to you and Elvis, my childhood was really nothing. Some people say that there is a limit to how much luck a person can have in a lifetime. I suffered a little when I was young, probably because I wanted to save up luck to meet you guys. I think it's quite worth it. If I were to choose again, I would still choose to be abandoned by them when I was young and then transmigrate to the beast world to meet you guys." Leah shook his head and said in a low voice, "No, I would rather we suffer 10 times or 100 times more pain in exchange for your blissful past. I don't want you to suffer, not even a little bit." Pausing for a moment, Leah said faintly, "Meng Meng, I have something to discuss with you." "Huh?" Gu Meng Meng tilted her head to look at Leah. Chapter 1432. Go over. Gu Meng Meng was taken aback. Go over for what? Do you want to rule the earth too? Leah shook his head. I have no interest in ruling the earth, but my woman was bullied. I cannot tolerate this. This enmity, I must definitely take revenge. Personally. Gu Meng Meng had wanted to say that Snake had already taken care of them and helped prevent her anger, so there was no need to mention it again. But Lee's last 3 words made Gu Mengmeng choke back her words. Her man was protecting her. This feeling was quite good. Gu Mengmeng also wanted to agree readily and say, "All right, let's go back and look for them. I will take revenge for that slap with interest." But the truth was, Gu Mengmeng shook her head. There are too many uncertainties in the doors of time and space. It was an accident that I transmigrated here. I am not sure if we can return after entering. There are my important friends, adorable children and close family members here. I am not willing to risk losing people who love me, and I love them for the sake of 2 people who had hurt me. I don't think it's worth it. Leo lowered his head and thought for a moment. Then make a wish for them to come to the beast world. I only have one wish. I want to use it to save Qi Xian. Gu Mengmeng said carefully. She knew that Leah could not tolerate her suffering. But honestly, her scumbag father and mistress were not as important as her son. Leah took a deep breath. If I can think of a way to save Qi Xian before gathering the 7 treasures, then give me that wish. I will use it to summon them here to take revenge for you. All right. Gu Mengmeng nodded in agreement. Leah and Elvis exchanged glances. This matter was finally over. Leo looked outside the window and asked, "Mengmeng, do you hate that Gregory?" Gu Mengmeng thought about it. I don't hate him, but I don't like him either. Towards him, I don't have any feelings. Leah thought for a moment. Actually, the beast deity is right. As the messenger of the beast deity, you have the responsibility to maintain the balance in the beast world. Actually, before you came, Elvis's and my plan was to not allow any new males to join the family within a year and strive to make you pregnant with Elvis's cubs within a year to solidify his status as the first partner. However, there were many unexpected changes in the process. For example, you were pregnant with Hedda and his brothers in the first winter, and the way you gave birth scared us, and these 4 years passed in the blink of an eye, but our family did not have any new members. Gu Mengmeng interrupted Lee's words. But I don't want a new partner. I think you and Elvis are enough for me. These words warmed Lee's heart. Even if this was an impractical lie in the beast world, Leah still enjoyed it. Leah did not pursue the truth and only asked Gu Mengmeng, if Snake could live again, would you still reject him? Gu Mengmeng thought for a while and shook her head. She lowered her head and said, if he can come back to life. I can't pretend that I don't know anything in front of him, and I can't reject him a second time. If it was him, I might have accepted it. Even though I was so afraid of snakes, now that I think about it, I don't seem to be afraid of him anymore. Chapter 1433. Gu Mengmeng did not understand. Wasn't he talking about Gregory? Why was it suddenly related to Snake again? Was there any difference between the guardian mark and the mating mark to Snake now? It was as if she admitted that he was her deceased husband and placed a memorial tablet in the ancestral hall, would he come back to life? Leah seemed to have seen through Gu Mengmeng's doubts and answered her directly, that way, you and Elvis mated in the first year and gave birth to Hedda and his brothers. In the second year, you took me in as a beast pet and Oritin joined the family as a guardian beast. In the third year, you mated with Snake and I was promoted from a beast pet to your third partner. Gu Mengmeng face-bombed and said, so you mean I have not stopped every year, right? Leo lowered his head and chuckled, saying, you can say that. Although there is only one more member every year and this number is too little compared to normal families in the beast world, but at least there are new people joining every year and it is still acceptable. Gu Mengmeng sighed and said, so this year is the 4th year and Gregory joined my family, right? Leah nodded and said, I will not give him the chance to flirt in front of you. I am the only male who climbed into your bed from a beast pet. So, he will stay in our family as a guardian beast and will not stay with us normally. Just like Oritin, he will come over to share a meal with us during mealtimes. Just treat it as adding a pair of chopsticks to the dining table and you don't have to care about him, alright? Don't. Gu Meng Meng had a look of resistance and said, "One Oriton is already giving me a headache and I don't even know how to deal with him. Why do I feel like I am harming others by bringing Gregory back? Elvis and I are still free. Even if you want to harm others, it will not be him." Leah said it casually, but Gu Meng Meng lowered her head and smiled, saying, "What a coincidence, Elvis also said the same thing in the dream realm." Elvis and Leah exchanged glances and then smiled, saying, "This is tacit understanding. Just based on our tacit understanding, unless you are willing, no one will be able to compete with us." Gu Meng Meng was unwilling and lowered her head, saying, "Is there no other way? Our family of 3 is living a good life, but you have to shove an outsider in. I feel uncomfortable." Leah kissed Gu Meng Meng and said, "Don't worry, be it Gregory or Oriton, unless you want them, they don't even have the right to enter your cave. It's just a title. It doesn't have any substance." Gu Meng Meng said, "But once this name is hung up, their entire lives will be over. Dad said that with my mark on them, no female will want them anymore." Leah chuckled. "Why? Do you think someone will want them just because they don't put your label on them? Let's talk about Oriton first." Indeed, those tribe beauties used to confess to him frequently, but when you saw him, wasn't he still single? Ask him if he's willing to mate with another female and give up our family's food. Gu Meng Meng was speechless. There was no need to ask. In Oriton's eyes, the only thing more important than a meal cooked by Leah was Gu Meng Meng. Yes, Oriton said it himself, Gu Meng Meng was worth 3 days of food. Chapter 1434. Gu Meng Meng, do you remember the days when you wanted to break up with me? Leah asked. Gu Meng Meng nodded. That period of time was too torturous and she naturally remembered it clearly. Leah continued, "Do you know what was the most painful thing for me during that period of time?" Gu Meng Meng shook her head. "Leah, the most painful thing for me was not seeing you and Elvis being so lovey-dovey with each other, collecting salt, digging potatoes and sweet potatoes, or even listening to your mating at the entrance of the cave. It was the days when you hid in the cave and didn't step out at all. I didn't know if you were crying, didn't know if you had eaten, didn't know if you were well, didn't know if you were still alive, didn't know if you were still in Saint Nazaire or even in the beast world. My guesses without any knowledge almost drove me crazy. I prayed to the gods not for you to forgive me, but for me to look at you from afar, to know that you are still alive, to know that you still exist, to know that you are still well. That is enough. As long as I take a look from afar, even if I can only see your silhouette and not hear your voice, it is all right. Just one look and I can get through that day. Even if the sweetness between you and Elvis made me feel as if thousands of arrows were stabbing into my heart, I would gladly endure that pain." Gu Meng Meng bit her lower lip and hugged Lee's neck. She bit his shoulder and grumbled, "Who asked you to be so pretentious? You had to pretend to fall in love with someone else with Nina, causing me to be sad and hurt my body. Now you are acting pitiful." "Humph." Leah smiled bitterly and said, "I know it was all my fault, so the pain I suffered then was all punishment. After that, in order to beg for your forgiveness, I deserved to be tortured by you. I didn't dare to complain or be dissatisfied. I am already grateful that you could forgive me in the end." Gu Meng Meng chuckled and said, "All right, we are talking about them, why are we talking about these past events again?" Leah kissed the mark on Gu Meng Meng's left ear and said, "I am talking about them." Gu Meng Meng replied with a single syllable to express her inquiry. Leah said, "How different can Gregory's current state be from mine back then? He didn't have the right to stay, but he couldn't bear to leave. His situation was worse than mine. At least at that time, I knew that you liked me, and I still had a chance to redeem myself. As for him, he has never even seen you like him. If he returns to Moda Mountains like this, how miserable will his life be? I don't think so. Then maybe he will meet a female he likes in the future and start a new life happily. Gu Mengmeng said. Chapter 1435. Gu Mengmeng hesitated for a moment before shaking her head. She did not say it out loud, but based on her gut feeling, she truly felt that Gregory, who looked like he was abstinent, was the type of person with a solid heart. Frustrated, Gu Mengmeng pinched Li's face and grumbled, "It's all your fault. Why did you set him up to like me?" Leah allowed Gu Mengmeng to behave wildly in his arms. Seeing her frustrated made him feel better. If she happily accepted Gregory, he would feel terrible again. Sometimes, Leah also felt that he was a fool. He was the one who arranged for Gregory to get close to Gu Mengmeng, but Gregory followed his plan and fell in love with Gu Mengmeng. He was also the one who felt disgusted. He was the one who wanted Gu Mengmeng to accept Gregory as a family member. But if Gu Mengmeng accepted him, he would be the one who would be frustrated. Leah was almost driven crazy by himself as his rationality and emotions were being torn apart every day. "Yeah, it's all my fault." Leah held Gu Mengmeng's little fist and kissed it. "It's all my fault for making things difficult for my precious Gu Mengmeng." Gu Mengmeng retracted her hand and shook her head. "Let's not tell Gregory about this first. I still need to think about it. If there's any other way, let's not hold him up like this." Leah nodded. "The beast deity's words are just a suggestion to you. But to the others in the beast world, it's a divine decree. Therefore, the matter of our family recruiting new people must be put on the agenda. If you don't want it to be Gregory, then why don't you transfer Berg back, or Berit?" Gu Mengmeng waved her hands. "We'll talk about it later. Let me think about it." "All right." Actually, Leah hoped that no one would join. But since the beast deity had spoken, this matter had to be carried out. Leah handed Gu Mengmeng over to Elvis before heading out to prepare the meal. Before the meat was out of the pot, Oriton had already smelled the aroma and ran over. He circled the stove and followed closely behind Leah like a little tail, afraid that he would miss mealtime. Li's cooking was a sign that Gu Mengmeng was awake. Wabi entered the stone castle openly while Gregory stood at the entrance. He did not have the right to enter, so he could only stand at the entrance and look in. He wanted to see if this person who had slept for more than 4 days had really woken up. Unfortunately, Gu Mengmeng's bedroom was on the 2nd floor. Even with his X-ray vision, he could not see her. But even so, he could not tear his eyes away from the main door of the stone castle. All he could hope for was to see her a second earlier. Wabi went up to the 2nd floor and directly kicked the door open. He grinned at Gu Mengmeng. "How is it?" Gu Mengmeng felt vexed and her expression did not look too good. She just shook her head, indicating that there was still no news about sending Wabi to meet Snake. Wabi didn't know what Gu Mengmeng was upset about. Seeing her expression, he asked worriedly, "What's wrong? Did something happen to Snake?" Gu Mengmeng was taken aback, then she shook her head and said, "No, Snake is fine. It's my father who can't bear to see me living so leisurely, so he gave me some trouble." Gu Mengmeng told him about how the beast deity had asked her to accept Gregory. But Wabi just laughed coldly and said, "I thought it was something serious. Isn't it just accepting a birdman? What are you so conflicted about? So be it if you accept it. When the time comes, you can keep him if you like him. If you don't, can't you still eat him? Isn't it good to have more fresh-keeping rations during winter?" Gu Mengmeng rolled her eyes at Wabi and said, "I should have just thrown you into the modern world to pair up with Bailon." Aside from the topic, today was the last day of April. "Babies, the monthly tickets will really expire tomorrow, so give them to Susu, all right?" Chapter 1436. Gregory, Leah, who was standing beside the stove, called out. Gregory was taken aback for a moment before turning to look at Leah with a questioning gaze. Leah said, "Meng Meng loves to eat bird eggs. Go find some and I will cook them for her." Gregory's expression froze and his eyes were filled with disbelief as he stared at Leah in a daze. Leah chuckled and tilted his head to ask, "Why? You are not willing?" "Nope." Gregory shook his head. Even his tone became slightly weaker. "Then hurry up and go. Don't delay Meng Meng from cooking." Leah retracted his gaze and continued cooking, not looking at Gregory anymore. Oriton circled around Leah and asked if there was anything he needed him to prepare. Actually, he just wanted to add more dishes. He had been starving for a few days after Gu Meng Meng slept and now he was dying of cravings. But if he said he wanted to eat, Leah would definitely not make it. So he could only use the excuse of adding more dishes for Gu Meng Meng to make a few more dishes. To be honest, Oriton was not good enough to play mind games in front of Leah. But Leah could not be bothered to expose his simple and straightforward wish and just let him be. Lee's emotions were very complicated and he needed some peace and quiet. It was a good thing that Oriton was not around. When Elvis carried Gu Meng Meng out of the house, he saw Leah cooking alone by the stove. Gregory and Oriton were not around. The steam from the pot obscured Lee's silhouette. Gu Meng Meng narrowed her eyes and said, "Don't you guys feel that Leah is different? He looks even better." Wabi glanced at Leah lazily before claiming credit. "Yeah, it's my credit." Gu Meng Meng looked at Wabi. "Why? You are a plastic surgeon from Korea. Did you do Lee's face while I was not around?" Wabi did not know what Gu Meng Meng was talking about. He just rolled his eyes. "You are a beast king, right? Can you not be so insensitive to your level? So embarrassing. Don't tell others that you know me." Gu Meng Meng remained silent for 2 seconds. Then, she broke into a wide smile and pounced towards Leah. The moment Gu Meng Meng came out of the house, Leah knew. How should I put it? To Leah, Gu Meng Meng was an existence that radiated light all over. As long as she appeared, he would naturally see her. Moreover, they were so close to each other that Leah had heard everything they said just now. With a smile on his lips, Leah supported Gu Meng Meng who had pounced onto his back like a monkey. "Happy?" "Of course I'm happy." Gu Meng Meng wrapped her arms around Lee's neck and kissed him on the cheek. "I was wondering why I felt that you were different when I woke up." "So you have leveled up." "Ah, the top-tier version of Leah, so handsome, I can't take my eyes off you." Leah was pleased by Gu Meng Meng's exaggerated admiration. By right, it was rather sad to use one's looks to win someone's heart, but Leah felt that he was the most handsome person in her eyes. This was something to be proud of. He tilted his head and said, "This is still not the best version. After we obtain the spirit of the rocky cliffs and I break through to the Beast King bloodline, it will look even better. Get it? Once we get the love of the sky, we'll get it. For my peerless looks, even a mountain of knives and a sea of fire can't stop me." As Gu Meng Meng said that, she kissed Lee's cheek again. She added, "You are so good-looking now. In the future, our children will definitely look better than the children in the milk powder commercials on television." Digression: on the first day of May, Leah leveled up. Chapter 1437. Leah, how many do you foxes usually give birth to? Gu Meng Meng hung on Lee's back and asked while watching him cook. Usually 3 to 10. Leah replied, "You gave birth to 4 in your previous birth, but this birth should be about the same number." Ever since he confirmed that he could get the love of the sky during the dry season, Leah no longer avoided discussing children with Gu Meng Meng. On the contrary, he started to let his expectations run wild. Now, He was already a 5th level orc. Although he was just at the entry level, with a beast king like Elvis as a training partner, he needed much less time to reach the peak of his abilities compared to other 5th level orcs. When the Beast King bloodline was activated, a family of 3 Beast Kings would at least be able to protect a few cubs. Then I still have to think of 2 more names. Gu Meng Meng mumbled. 2. Leah tilted his head and asked Gu Meng Meng. Gu Meng Meng smiled with her eyes squinted. Yes, I already thought of 2 names, but if I have 4 sons, then I have to think of 2 more. Although he had not given birth yet, Leah himself was looking forward to it. He was also very willing to discuss their future with Gu Meng Meng. A future with her and children. Tell me, what names did you think of? Gu Meng Meng chuckled. It's not what I thought of, it's ready-made. Ready-made? Leah was even more confused. Gu Meng Meng nodded. She smiled slyly and replied, Shuangqi and Ba Wei are my 2 favorite foxes. I used to want them to be my boyfriends, but, if they can't be boyfriends, they can be sons. Leah put down the things in his hands and pulled Gu Meng Meng over from his back into his arms. He supported her but with one hand and supported her back with the other, letting her legs wrap around his waist. Then, they stared straight into each other's eyes. Leah squinted his long and affectionate eyes. He gritted his words and asked, Shouldn't I be your favorite fox? Gu Meng Meng looked like she was caught in the act. She smiled and said, In the past, it was my favorite fox in the past. Meng Meng, you clearly said that I was your first love, then these 2 foxes, Gu Meng Meng waved her hands and said, Don't mess around. They are not in the same dimension as us. That's an anime, it's only for fantasy, it doesn't have a physical body. Leo raised his brows in obvious disbelief. Gu Meng Meng chuckled. Ba Wei and Double Blaze are fictional characters. They don't exist. But no matter how good he is, he still can't be compared to you. Ever since I met you, I've looked down on other foxes. Really, Daddy Leah is the most handsome, Daddy Leia, Leia smiled. He was pleased by her flattery. Freeing up one hand, he pinched Gu Meng Meng's little nose and said, You're not allowed to like other foxes, I won't allow any vixen other than me to fight for your favor. That won't do. Gu Meng Meng raised her head and patted her tummy twice with her little hands. Our family will definitely have many little foxes in the future, and I like all of them. I'll love every single one I see. The corners of Lee's lips curled up unknowingly. He bit Gu Meng Meng's earlobe lightly and said, Yours doesn't count. Chapter 1438. Leo was nonchalant. He turned back to look at Gregory and called out naturally, Why are you still in a daze? Bring me the eggs. Gregory paused for a moment, then brought the entire nest to Leia. Leah frowned and took 2 eggs from the nest, saying, It's my fault for not making myself clear. Our family's rule is not to take everything. We can't do this kind of thing in the future, Meng Meng doesn't like it. Gregory was at a loss and didn't know what to do. Leah took out a small bowl and filled it with a small spoon of honey. He then added water to mix it into honey water and passed the cup to Gregory, saying, When taking honey, we will only cut half of the beehive. When hunting, we won't catch pregnant prey, nursing mother beasts or cubs. It's the same for the eggs, we can only take 2 from each nest, no more. This is our family's rule. Gregory nodded, not really understanding. He was extremely sensitive to the words our family. He could even feel the blood in his body boiling and surging uncontrollably. Send the water over to Meng Meng. She just woke up and needs more water. Leah took the nest and placed it at the side, saying, Remember to apologize to Meng Meng. Don't let her be in a bad mood because of this. Otherwise, Elvis and I will not let you off. Gregory felt extremely uneasy. He held the cup of water and didn't even dare to look at Gu Mingming's eyes. Lee's attitude meant that he acknowledged his status as a member of the family, right? But Gu Mengmeng didn't express her stance. What if she didn't agree? He was extremely afraid that Gu Mengmeng would personally extinguish this hope. What if she refused to eat the eggs he brought back? What if she said that Leo was fooling around and asked him not to mind? What if, while he was in a dilemma, Gregory had already walked step by step to Gu Mengmeng? He passed the cup of water to her and the turbulence in his heart was reflected on his face, with only a slight frown. Even someone like Gu Mengmeng, who knew a little about psychology, couldn't see anything strange from his face. It wasn't that Gu Mengmeng didn't see or understand Lee's attitude towards Gregory. She sighed helplessly. This Leah, he had clearly said that he would let her think about it, but in the blink of an eye, he was forcing her into a corner. Gu Mengmeng walked around Gregory and glared at Leah. But Leah just smiled at her in a flirtatious manner, then nodded, implying that she should just accept Gregory like this. It was just an empty title. Gu Mengmeng face-bombed and took the cup of water from Gregory. Gregory, let's talk. Gregory's heart skipped a beat and he clenched his fists tightly. He looked up at Gu Mengmeng, his eyes trembling. What does she want to talk about? Was he going to tell him to scram? No, at least not now. She still had to go to the Moda Mountains to retrieve the love of the sky during the dry season. She still had to send another 5 females to the Moda Mountains. He hadn't finished these 2 things yet, so he could at least stay for a while. Despite comforting himself in his heart, Gregory clenched his fists tightly. His dry throat couldn't utter a single word, and he could only squeeze out a single sound, Chapter 1439. You want me to back off in the face of difficulties? Gregory clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with uneasiness. In order to chase him away, she was willing to belittle herself. Gu Mengmeng shook her head. Gregory's face turned pale. Shake his head. What did she mean by shaking her head? If she was not trying to make him back off in the face of difficulties, then hope was ignited. Gu Mengmeng clearly saw his eyes light up. Sighing, Gu Mengmeng felt rather helpless. I told you, I am selfish and greedy. Many times, I do things without considering the consequences and do things on impulse. So Elvis and Leah are exhausted from running around, cleaning up my messes all over the world. You know, jumping off the cliff at Moda Mountains was one of the many reckless actions I did. And after my recklessness, you saw how Leah helped me deal with the aftermath. Thinking about what Leah had said to him when they went to the cave on the opposite mountain, Gregory nodded. Gu Mengmeng continued, Now, the problem in front of me is that I want the love of the sky, but my father is trying his best to make me accept you. All along, my father has been fulfilling my requests one-sidedly. This is the first time he wants me to do something. I don't want to reject him, but I also don't want Elvis and Leah to be upset. The most advantageous situation for me is to take you in as a guardian beast, a member of my family, but not as a partner. Our relationship will only stop here, just like Oriton and I, there will never be another step forward. This way, it will be natural for you to bring me to Moda Mountains during the dry season. I will be able to answer to my father, and not let Elvis and Leah down. This is a situation that has many advantages and no disadvantages for me. Gu Mengmeng stood up from Elvis's arms and walked to Gregory. Due to the difference in height, she had no choice but to look up at Gregory. She looked into his eyes in all seriousness and said, But the price for me to obtain all of this is all paid by you. Once you are labeled as mine, no female in the beast world will be willing to accept you. Even if you regret it in the future, there is no way out. Don't think that staying by my side and seeing me will make you happy. Let me tell you, it is not happy at all. You are different from Oriton, because he only likes food and not me. So no matter how close and happy I am with Elvis and Leah, he will not be jealous. But you? Won't you be jealous? Gu Meng Meng poked Gregory's heart with her finger and said, day after day of loneliness, no matter how much effort you put in, no reciprocation for all your love. Do you really want to endure that kind of pain? Grace, if I were you, I would calmly think about whether it was worth it to sacrifice my life for such a woman. What you should do now is not to listen to Leah telling you about the family rules, nor to remember what to do to make me happy. Instead, run away from me. Don't let a selfish woman like me catch you. That's the smart thing to do, understand? As Gu Meng Meng said, she retracted her hand and wanted to turn around and return to Elvis's arms. But before he could pull his wrist back, Gregory grabbed it. Chapter 1440. So, you should smile at me, then let me fall into your trap and put into action what you said just now into action, and not point out the pros and cons to make me wary. Gregory did not pull Gu Meng Meng into his arms, but took a step forward and got closer to Gu Meng Meng, saying, you are really making things difficult for me. I still thought that I could receive some gentleness during the period when you were using me, even if it is temporary and fake. But now, it seems that you have no intention of lying to me. You don't even have any intention of using me. You said that you want to lay all your cards on the table, but you actually want to scare me off, right? Gu Meng Meng was speechless and quietly took a small step back. She knew that if she directly rejected him, Gregory would not listen to her analysis of the pros and cons, so she pretended to say that she was willing to accept him, so that he would listen to her patiently. She originally thought that he would scold Gu Meng Meng as a scumbag after listening to her, then turn around and leave. Who knew that this bird did not play by the rules? I don't go down the mountain often, but it doesn't mean that I am ignorant. Gregory allowed Gu Meng Meng to take a small step back, then he took a big step forward. The distance between them was even closer than before, almost sticking to each other. The cruel situation you mentioned just now, isn't it the most common situation in every family? Compared to those males who don't even have the chance to tell their names to their females, at least I am remembered by you, isn't it? Gu Meng Meng was suddenly speechless. In this beast world, other than her and Sandy, the two abnormalities, the mating of females was really like what Gregory said. As long as they were pleasing to the eye, they could be accepted into the family, but after that, they would forget about them. Other than the first partner and a few especially favored ones, the females did not even know how many partners they had. Like Nina and Ellie, they really could not even remember all the names of their partners. In a male's perspective, it is only right to sacrifice everything for the female. The response and reciprocation you mentioned. I am lucky to receive it, but not my life. Wrapping his other arm around Gu Meng Meng's waist, Gregory maintained an ascetic expression as he looked at Gu Meng Meng, saying, you don't have to come close to me, you don't even have to stand at the same spot to wait for me. If you want to retreat, I'll let you retreat. No matter how far apart you are, no matter if there are thousands of ravines or galaxies between us, these distances and obstacles will all be crossed by me. Being able to feel jealousy and heartache for the female you like is already a kind of happiness. After all, the current him did not even have the right to be jealous. Gu Meng Meng, I like you. I don't mind being your companion, pet, guardian, or even food. As Gregory spoke, he plucked a feather from his ear and handed it to Gu Meng Meng. So, are you willing to accept me and let me become a member of your family? Just as Gu Meng Meng was hesitating, she heard a deafening roar. Before Gu Meng Meng could react to what was happening, Oriton, who had just returned from hunting, had already thrown away the prey in his hands and started fighting with Gregory. Gu Meng Meng looked at the two of them fighting with a dumbfounded expression, but Leah just waved his tail and said, if you want to be our guardian beast, you have to be capable enough. Gu Meng Meng pointed at Oriton and asked Leah, this. Chapter 1441. Gu Mengmeng was stunned for a moment before she burst out laughing. Leo was too bad, really too bad. Gu Mengmeng dared to guarantee that Oriton's definition of a rice bowl was definitely the utensil used to eat. A fierce tiger on the ground and a vulture in mid-air were locked in a stalemate. Gu Mengmeng stared in bewilderment. Under normal circumstances, Elvis and Leo would intentionally avoid her during their battle. They rarely displayed their violent side in front of her, as if they were afraid of scaring her. But Oriton and Gregory were different. Gregory desperately needed to prove his strength to Gu Mengmeng, while Oriton was purely desperate for food. Wabi sat at the side and watched for a long time. His eyes were shining and he was itching to join in. Although there was nothing much to see in a fight between third-level beasts, as long as there was a fight to fight, he wanted to join in. Leah tugged at Wabi's arm. The two guardian beasts are fighting for status in the family. What are you going over for? Wabi twitched his lips. We are both 5th level now. Shall we go out for a fight? Leah shook his head. I'm not going to fight with you. I have more or less figured out your moves. It won't help me accumulate much experience. After dinner, I will go out with Elvis. You can stay at home and accompany Mengmeng. Tu Meng doesn't need my company. Wabi's eyes were shining. I will go with you. Elvis is the Wolf King now. You can't beat him. Let's join forces. Leah snorted. If I join forces with you to fight my first partner, I won't be able to answer to Mengmeng no matter who wins, right? Ungrateful. Wabi rolled his eyes at Leah, his face full of dissatisfaction. Leah knew that Wabi was scolding him for accompanying him to level up while Gu Mengmeng was meeting the beast deity. He didn't mind and just smiled. Then, he carried the meat from the pot to the dining table. The moment the bottom of the pot touched the table, Oriton and Gregory immediately stopped attacking each other. Oriton's jaws were already around Gregory's neck. If he bit down, Gregory's head would have to be moved. Meanwhile, Gregory's steel-like claws were already pressed against Oriton's chest. If his claws landed, Oriton's heart would definitely be smashed into pieces. Both of them were holding on to each other's vital points. It could be considered a draw. Gu Mengmeng took out a bowl and scooped 6 bowls of meat. She placed the first bowl on her seat. This was the rule: the female was the head of the household and had the priority to enjoy the meat. The second bowl was given to Elvis. This was the authority and welfare of the first partner and could not be disputed. The third bowl was given to Leah and the fourth to Wabi. The fifth and sixth bowls were placed at the left and right corners of the table. Oriton, Gregory, stop fooling around. Let's eat. It was a tacit acknowledgement of Gregory's status as a guardian beast. Gregory walked to Gu Mengmeng's side and wanted to pull her into his arms for a hug. But Elvis retracted his arm and directly pulled Gu Mengmeng into his embrace. A pair of sinister eyes looked at Gregory and said lightly, "She can hug you, but you can't hug her." Gregory was taken aback for a moment before he smiled and nodded. He was a guardian beast, not a partner. Naturally, he did not have the right to hug her whenever he wanted. Not to mention him, even Leah could not carry Gu Mengmeng as long as Elvis did not agree. He was a little disappointed, but not sad. Chapter 1442. Gu Mengmeng lowered her head and smiled helplessly. Your understanding of selfishness is too one-sided. Gregory maintained his posture of handing out the feather and just looked at Gu Mengmeng quietly. Gu Mengmeng looked up and met Gregory's eyes. She said, "I said those words to you not to scare you off, but to let myself accept your kindness with a clear conscience. No matter how much pain you will suffer in the future, I can still say honestly, see, I told you long ago, you did all of this willingly, you can't blame me." Gregory's eyes widened. Gu Meng Meng didn't take the feather from Gregory. She just looked into his eyes. It's not too late to regret now, Gregory chuckled. He took a step forward and placed the feather on Gu Mingming's right ear. Then, he smiled. You keep emphasizing how selfish you are and how heartless you will be towards me in the future. You are not trying to scare me. You are afraid. You are afraid to see me in pain, and afraid that you will soften because of guilt and self-blame. Your disguise is too clumsy. You can't hide it from me. Gregory took a step back and put some distance between them. He smiled and said, Don't worry, I won't purposely do something that looks tragic to coerce you. On the contrary, I will show you my strong points so that you will like me because I am outstanding enough. You will accept me and mate with me. Birds have their own pride. I love you, but I am not petty. Leah snorted. He scooped a piece of meat and sent it into Gu Mingming's mouth. You have to look at your face to make someone fall in love with you. I don't love you to begin with, so naturally I won't pity you. Gu Mengmeng face-bombed. Gregory had stepped on Lee's landmine. After all, Leah had used all sorts of methods to make her change her mind. In the end, he had almost jumped into a brazier and burned himself to death. Gu Mengmeng didn't say anything. She just quietly ate the meat in her bowl. Gregory didn't contradict Leah. After all, Leah was his mate while he was just a guardian beast. There was a difference in their statuses. After 2 mouthfuls, Gregory placed the bowl down. He looked at Gu Mengmeng. There is one more thing. I think I should confess in advance. Gu Mengmeng looked up at Gregory, waiting for him to continue. Gregory took a deep breath and said, The Fox King has already looked for me many times. He hopes that I can arrange a bird to send him to the Moda Mountains. He also wants the love of the sky. Gu Mengmeng was confused. Gregory shook his head and said, It doesn't seem like it. From what he said, it seems like he wants to stay on Moda Mountains for a while. Gu Mengmeng frowned. If it wasn't for the love of the sky, he wanted to stay in the Moda Mountains for a while. Cole was not the kind of person who had the time to travel. Gu Mengmeng rested her chin on her hand and thought for a moment. Then, she asked, Did he ask you about the other treasures on the Moda Mountains? Gregory shook his head and said, He only said that he wanted to go up the Moda Mountains and did not mention anything else. What are your conditions? Gu Mengmeng understood Cole too well. If he wanted to rope Gregory in, he could not just rely on his mouth. He must have used threats and promises. Gregory looked at Gu Mengmeng and smiled. You? Me? Gu Mengmeng asked back. Gregory nodded and said, He said that as long as he can successfully reach the Moda Mountains, he can let me have you. How? Gu Mengmeng asked. Chapter 1443. Gu Mengmeng thought about it and shook her head. No need. Cole is very dangerous. You should avoid him in the future. Leah caressed Gu Mengmeng's brows. Don't worry. Leave Cole's matters to me. Gu Mengmeng nodded and did not say anything else. Gregory received Lee's gaze and did not say anything. He just silently picked up his chopsticks and continued eating. He could not compare to Leah in terms of ability, trustworthiness, and weight in Gu Mengmeng's heart. He still had a long way to go before he could establish a good image in Gu Mengmeng's heart. After lunch, Gu Mengmeng asked for a weasel bristle from Elvis. Then, she asked Leah to use a fishbone needle to pierce a hole in her right ear. She then pierced Gregory's feather through the root before tying a dead knot through her own ear hole. That was how it became a feather earring. Because Gu Mengmeng frowned when she pierced her ear, Elvis and Leah glared at Gregory fiercely. Gregory's heart ached when Leah pierced Gu Mengmeng's earlobe. It was as if the needle was not piercing Gu Mengmeng's ear but his heart. But after that sharp and subtle pain, a warm current spread throughout his body. It was an indescribable feeling. It was as if the bones and blood forged from the cold wind and snow of Moda Mountains had suddenly melted in his body. Blood and bone marrow started to flow in those icicle-like bones. Inch by inch, the ice and snow melted in his body at a speed visible to the naked eye. Suddenly, he seemed to understand a word. It was called warmth. That life that was as pale as the ice and snow seemed to have instantly turned into the warmth of spring. Yeah, Gregory knew that the drop of blood that dripped down Gu Mingming's earlobe had nourished his entire world and given him a new life. From the moment Gu Mengmeng wore that feather on her right ear, he was truly alive. Stop glaring at him. I can't give him the mating mark. This can be considered as compensation. Gu Mengmeng tugged at Li's and Elvis's hands. Then, she smiled. And it doesn't hurt. Look, it's fine. With that, Gu Mengmeng shook her head. The feather swayed with the wind, accentuating the curve of Gu Mingming's neck. Gregory cleared his throat, then took out something from behind him and passed it to Gu Mengmeng. This is... That thing was carefully wrapped in a beast skin. Gu Mengmeng opened the beast skin as she received it. She was stunned for a moment before she smiled knowingly. I didn't expect it to return to my hands in the end. Yes, you said I could trick a wife into coming back. I thought about it. I don't want to give it to anyone but you. Gregory did not have the right to hug Gu Mengmeng, but now he had the right to openly look at her with deep affection. He no longer had to worry about being rejected by her because his gaze was too explicit, nor did he have to worry about anyone seeing through his emotions from his gaze. Gu Mengmeng shook the feather fan made from Melodi's feathers and chuckled. Although I made it, it still belongs to you. So, thank you for the present, I like it very much. Yes. Gregory was at a loss. Although he was engaged, he had never imagined what his life would be like after he became a partner. Yesterday, he was still worried about being chased away by her, but today, he was already a member of her family. Chapter 1444. The messenger of the beast deity's family recruiting a new male was a big deal to the entire beast world. Moreover, she had accepted Gregory as a show for everyone to see, so there was no reason for her to keep it a secret. So, Leah stepped forward to prepare for a grand bonfire party 3 days later, in the name of sending off the messenger of the beast deity. Usually, after Gu Mengmeng passed the winter in Sauder and hosted the first hunting ritual, she would head to other places, either back to St. Nazaire, Zacharias, or back to the Snake King Valley. Anyway, she would not stay in Sauder for 2 consecutive seasons. But because they had to go to the Moda Mountains during the dry season this year, coupled with the fact that Elvis, the Beast King, had just descended, many wolf beasts did not manage to rush to Sauder in time, so Gu Mengmeng decided to stay for a longer period of time. Now that the rainy season was halfway through, Gu Mengmeng and the rest naturally had to start their journey to the Moda Mountains. As Oriton and Little Shit had to follow, it was impossible for Gregory to bring them by air. And if they were to travel by land, it would naturally take a longer time. After all, they could not travel in a straight line. And besides sending Gu Mengmeng off, the other purpose of this bonfire party was to introduce Gregory to everyone. To tell everyone that there was a new male in the messenger of the beast deity's family this year. He had wings and could fly. So, after everyone sat down by the bonfire, only Elvis and Leah sat at the main bonfire. There was an empty spot in the middle and Gu Mengmeng, who should be sitting there, was nowhere to be seen. Sandy's entire family had also arrived by the main bonfire, but Gu Mengmeng was not there. So the people below started to whisper, saying that it was clearly a farewell for the messenger of the beast deity, so why was the main character missing? Just as everyone was feeling puzzled, a bird's cry came from the night sky. Everyone looked up and saw a huge vulture circling in the sky. After 2 to 3 rounds, it landed steadily in front of the main bonfire. Gu Meng Meng jumped down from the vulture's back, then the vulture transformed into a human and followed behind Gu Meng Meng, sitting at the main bonfire together with her. Gu Meng Meng sat between Elvis and Leah, while Oratin sat beside Leah, while Vulture Gregory sat beside Elvis. Silence. Even the sound of the wind blowing against the bonfire was exceptionally obvious. The first person to react was actually Cole. Walking forward, he looked at Gu Meng Meng and placed his right hand in front of his left chest. He bowed and said, "Congratulations, Master, you got yourself another beautiful partner." Gu Meng Meng really wanted to throw a, "What does it have to do with you?" But she did not say anything. Firstly, she could not be bothered to waste her saliva on Cole. Secondly, she had promised Leah that she would let him handle Cole's matters. So, Gu Meng Meng just snuggled into Elvis's arms and did not even roll her eyes at Cole. Leah was satisfied with Gu Meng Meng's disregard towards Cole, but he pretended to rebuke and shook his head helplessly. Standing up, he cupped his fists at Cole and said, "Thank you, Mighty Fox King. He's just a guardian beast, not a good partner." Cole narrowed his eyes and looked at Leah with a dangerous gaze. His breath was icy cold and his smile was filled with malice. "Ninth brother has leveled up. Ha, congratulations, you bought level 5. With Agu's help, I'm sure the day you break through the Beast King bloodline is just around the corner." Leah smiled but did not reply. He just looked at Gu Meng Meng lovingly. Aside from the topic. Chapter 1445. Turning his body sideways, Leah said, "In the past 1,000 years, there were very few Beast Kings. After all, there was only Snake alone. But now, just our family alone has 2 Beast Kings, so I don't feel that it's so precious anymore. So I don't really care if the beast is a Beast King or not. As long as I can accompany Gu Meng, I will be satisfied." Cole narrowed his eyes. Logically speaking, with his ability to read people's minds, it was impossible for him not to see that Leah was purposely provoking him. But he could not control the burning rage in his chest. The feather earring on Gu Meng Meng's right ear was really an eyesore. He should not be bothered by it. No matter how many males Gu Meng Meng had by her side now, they were just temporary playthings. After he passed through the doors of time and space and ruled that world, he would be the only god in Gu Meng Meng's eyes. He would personally witness Gu Meng Meng abandoning Elvis and Leah for him, personally cutting off that mark on the back of her neck. She would personally kill all her pets to please him, then step on the fresh blood like a blooming poppy, emitting a faint fragrance by his side. They were just guardian beasts, how could they be worth his anger? But unfortunately, he could not control himself. He had already accepted Elvis and Lee's existence, after all, that was before he met her. But Gregory, just a mere Gregory, what right did he have to gain her favor? This evil fire burned so intensely that Lee's simple provocation caused Cole to exude a ruthless aura all over him. The firewood in the bonfire crackled, sparks bursting out, but they were swallowed by the darkness in an instant. The glimmer was not even as bright as a firefly. Leah chuckled and looked at Cole innocently. "What's wrong with the Mighty Fox King? Your beast pressure is leaking out. Our 2 guardian beasts are only 3rd level and can't withstand your scare. Especially that Gregory, he just joined the family and our Gu Meng Meng loves him. If you scare him, Gu Meng Meng's heart will ache." Lee's words were like throwing a lighter into a nuclear explosion. Then, feeling that it was not cool enough, he turned to look at Gu Meng Meng and winked at her, asking, "Right, Gu Meng Meng?" Gu Meng Meng felt awkward as if she had eaten *T. She still had to be responsible for flaunting their love. Putting on a show for Cole. What's wrong with him? Did he buy a ticket? But Leah had already said it, if Gu Meng Meng did not cooperate, wouldn't she be exposing Lee's shortcomings? Gu Meng Meng waved at Gregory and he naturally went around Elvis to the other side of Gu Meng Meng without a word. Gu Meng Meng passed the meat Leah had roasted for her to Gregory and said gently, "You must be tired after flying for half a day just now, aren't you? You eat first. Don't worry about those lunatics. I don't believe that anyone has the ability to hurt you in front of me." When Gu Meng Meng said the last sentence, she looked at Cole coldly. There was no beast pressure, but it still managed to extinguish Cole's flames. Chapter 1446. As for Cole, even though he had become a beast king, he could not wash away his identity as a stray beast, so he was naturally extremely afraid of Gu Meng Meng. Gu Meng Meng's gaze successfully extinguished Cole's arrogance, but it was like a pimple that was not squeezed clean, leaving an obvious pimple mark on his face. Even without touching, he knew that there was a hard lump there that could not be removed. The corners of Cole's mouth twitched uncontrollably, but he still succumbed to Gu Meng Meng's pressure. He smiled apologetically. It was Cole's carelessness. I did not control my beast pressure well and scared the Great Messenger's guardian beast. Please punish me, Great Messenger. Although Gregory was not as smart as Leah, he understood what they were doing. But, a vulture soaring in the sky, shuttling through the howling cold wind and piercing ice and snow, actually had to pretend to be a weak male who was frightened just because Cole leaked a little beast pressure. This was really, Gu Meng Meng patted Gregory's hand and suddenly smiled. Seeing how Gregory, who clearly had a proud and unyielding character, was forced to play along with Lee's weak feeling. His face was almost cramping up, but he did not pretend to be frightened. The word difficult was written all over his face, but he still tried his best to play along with Leah. Gu Meng Meng unkindly felt that it was a little funny, but also very considerate. The birds' tribe had their own pride. Gregory had personally told her that he would not do those miserable things to make her accept him out of guilt and self-reproach. Even though this was a path that Leah had walked on and personally proved to be effective. But now, he was willing to give up this pride just to play along with Lee's plan. Gregory was momentarily stunned by Gu Meng Meng's laughter. He was a little dejected. Sorry. I really don't know how to act weak. He did not finish his sentence, but he believed that Gu Meng Meng understood what he meant. Gu Meng Meng shook her head. It's not the first time that the mighty Fox King has been so arrogant. You are not the first and will not be the last to be looked down upon by him. Back then, before he was the Fox King, he dared to kidnap my Leah and beat him back to his original form behind my back before sending him back to show off to me. I'm already being very polite by only saying a few words of contempt to you. Obviously, Gu Meng Meng had forcefully twisted Gregory's apology so that everyone present would think that Gregory was apologizing because he did not look strong enough and became Cole's way of insulting the messenger of the beast deity. The people of the Snow Fox clan broke out in cold sweat. Ever since the beginning of the winter hunt, the messenger of the beast deity did not bring along the Snow Fox clan for anything. It was obvious that she was deliberately distancing herself from them. The 16 tribes and the Wolf tribe joined forces, making it difficult for the Snow Fox tribe to fight alone. She had originally wanted to use this night campfire party to mend the relationship between the Snow Fox clan and the messenger of the beast deity. However, she did not know what was wrong with this Fox King. He actually went to provoke the messenger of the beast deity and even made her start to dig up old scores. Cole clenched his fists and glared fiercely at Gregory, as if he was looking at a dead man. Gu was actually talking to him like this because of that bird. He was the strongest male by Gu's side, and only he was qualified to be a match for a female like Gu. Taking 2 steps forward, Cole wanted to snatch Gu Meng Meng from Elvis's arms as if he was possessed. Chapter 1447. The storm in Cole's eyes did not escape Gu Meng Meng's eyes. If not for the fact that the soul of the forest had completely merged with him and the bewitching spell that Cole had placed on Qi Xian, she would have killed him without hesitation. But now, it was not the right time. She had to gather all 7 treasures before she could kill Cole. The sequence could not be wrong. Gu Mengmeng glared at him coldly. How dare you? Cole's body went limp and he immediately knelt on the ground. This overwhelming pressure made Cole unable to lift his head. But just like a trapped beast, the thicker the chains locking him up, the stronger his desire to break free. Cole could not resist Gu Mingming's strong pressure, but this made him want to pounce on her even more. He wanted to possess her and see her submit to him in all sorts of ways. Elder Eugene, escort your king back to rest. Don't spoil my mood here. Gu Mingming's gaze was cold as she spoke softly. She swept a glance across them, revealing a nonchalant indifference but also an unquestionable authority. Yes. Elder Eugene, who had been called out, crawled to Cole's side. Together with another elder, they supported him and half-dragged Cole away. After this small episode, the night campfire party continued. Gu Mingming's appearance at such events was usually to show her face and tell everyone that she was not dead and was still alive. Today, she had another goal, which was to introduce Grace. Now that both goals had been accomplished, Gu Mengmeng wanted to leave. After all, every night campfire party would eventually turn into a barbaric version of the "if you are the one" matchmaking session, then it would turn into a collective applause for love. The scene was a little painful to the eyes. Gu Mengmeng wanted to bid farewell to Sandy and leave first, but before she could lift her leg, she saw someone slowly walking toward Sandy. Gu Mengmeng felt a tightness around her waist. It was Leah holding on to her. Gu Mengmeng turned back to look at Leah. Leah used his chin to point in Sandy's direction. Gu Mengmeng followed Lee's gaze and saw a snow fox standing leisurely in front of Sandy's campfire. He was holding onto a bouquet of fresh flowers and smiling in an appropriate manner, giving off the vibe of an elegant young master. Sandy, this is for you. The one holding the flowers was none other than Arnold, who had been standing at the entrance of Sandy's territory for a few days. Sandy was stunned. She thought that Arnold had given up and was even relieved. Who knew why he was here again? Sandy peeked at Gu Mengmeng with a troubled expression. Gu Mengmeng shrugged her shoulders, not understanding what was going on. Leah whispered into Gu Mengmeng's ear, he promised not to stand at the borders of Sandy's territory anymore. But today is the night campfire party and anyone can confess to the female they like. We have no reason to stop him. Gu Mengmeng face-bombed and looked at Sandy helplessly. Arnold acted as if he did not see the exchange between Sandy and Gu Mengmeng. He just chuckled. I just saw a beautiful flower and thought of the beautiful you, so I plucked it for you. Don't feel pressured, I won't confess to you. Sandy was speechless. The corners of Gu Mingming's mouth twitched as she thought to herself, unaccountably solicitous, sending flowers but not confessing. Does that mean you won't take responsibility after flirting with me? Stinking hooligan. Chapter 1448. Arnold completely ignored Hodgson's provocation and just smiled at the flowers scattered all over the ground. Then, he said to Sandy, since these flowers can be placed on your path, I did not pluck them for nothing. I saw that you ate a lot of roasted meat for dinner, so you should feel a little greasy. I placed 2 chrysanthemums in the small bamboo cup you placed on the table and mixed it with honey. Then, I made a cup of water with them. You should feel better after you drink it. The Fox King does not seem to be in a good condition today. I need to accompany my father to the Fox King to listen to his instructions, so I will take my leave first. With that, without waiting for Sandy to reply, Arnold turned around gracefully and walked out. After taking a few steps, he stopped and tilted his head slightly to look up at the moon. Sandy, look. Sandy instinctively looked up and followed Arnold's gaze to the moon. She did not see anything different, so she looked at Arnold in confusion. She met Arnold's affectionate gaze and gentle smile. His lips curved into a golden line, drawing out the proportions of his face beautifully. His voice was seductive as he said, "Just now, we saw the same moonlight." There was nothing after that. Leaving behind a satisfied smile, he left. Gu Meng Meng had good eyesight and could clearly see Sandy's blushing face from such a distance. That chubby little hand instinctively covered her heart as she stared at Arnold's departing figure, unable to look away. Gu Meng Meng frowned. The males in the beast world were good at everything except for the fact that they were almost non-existent in romance. So, although Sandy had more than 10 partners who would stand in front of her to protect her in times of danger, none of them would tease her like this. But how could there be so many life and death situations for them to perform? This kind of harmless yet romantic trick was too tempting for Sandy. After a long while, when Arnold's figure had long disappeared, Sandy slowly looked away. She did not look at her partners but turned to face Gu Meng Meng. Her watery eyes were filled with helplessness and her lips trembled, but she could not say a word. Gu Meng Meng took a deep breath and walked over to hug Sandy. "What's the matter? If you have something to say, then say it. What's the taboo between us?" Sandy did not feel too good and her voice was filled with a faint sense of forbearance as she said, "Gu Meng Meng, I seem to have fallen for Arnold, but I cannot mate with him, he is from the Snow Fox tribe." Gu Meng Meng's heart skipped a beat. She cupped Sandy's little face and looked at her. "Are you dumb? The females in the beast world chose partners based on their mood. What did it have to do with the other party's race? Have you forgotten? Who was the one who told me that Lil Miss was in a good mood and wanted to mate, so you just lay down and wait? What? When you were teaching me, you were full of it, but when it came to yourself, you became a coward." Sandy was not as eloquent as Gu Meng Meng. Her heart was in a mess and she could not think of a solution. But after hearing Gu Meng Meng's nonchalant explanation, she suddenly felt that her worries were not as serious as she had thought. She smiled and said, "Let's talk about it later. Maybe I won't like him after 2 days." Chapter 1449. Gu Meng Meng tugged at Sandy's little hand and whispered into her ear, "If you like him and believe that he really likes you and is willing to mate with him, then just do it. Don't worry about the race." Sandy tilted her head and looked at Gu Meng Meng, asking, "Really?" Gu Meng Meng nodded seriously, then her gaze landed on Leah and she smiled, saying, "After I retrieve the love of the sky from the Moda Mountains, the next step will be to retrieve the spirit of the rocky cliffs to activate Lee's Beast King bloodline. By then, when Leah, the legitimate Fox King, descends, how will Cole, the stray Beast King, be able to rule the Fox clan? Moreover," Gu Meng Meng smiled and said, "I can't allow him to live for so long." Sandy twirled her fingers and hesitated for a long time, before saying, "Then I will wait." Gu Meng Meng looked at Sandy in confusion, not knowing what she was waiting for. Sandy smiled and said, "I will wait for the day Leah becomes the Beast King. When you get rid of Cole and the Snow Fox clan truly becomes a family with us, then I will accept Arnold. Gu Meng Meng, I have done something wrong to you once in this lifetime and I don't want to do it a second time. That feeling of not being able to face you is too unbearable, more unbearable than losing anything else." Gu Meng Meng knew that what Sandy meant by letting her down was that she had stopped Colin from following Elvis and Leah to fight Cole head-on. Instead, she had grabbed onto Cole with all her might and escaped using the route that the females had used to escape. She had no choice but to do so. Gu Meng Meng had already said many times that Sandy did not do anything wrong and she did not blame her. If their positions were reversed, she would also not let Elvis or Leah take such a risk for another female. Of course, if the person in danger was Sandy, it was possible that she would rush forward herself, but she would never let Elvis or Leah fight an opponent that they knew they could not defeat. What was the difference between that and pushing him to his death? Gu Meng Meng had never felt that anyone had the obligation to risk their life for her. What's more, Colin was only her guardian and her friend at that time, not her man. But this matter was a dead knot in Sandy's heart that could not be untied no matter what. So all these years, as long as it was for Gu Meng Meng, Sandy could tolerate and do anything. This made Gu Meng Meng's heart ache, but there was nothing she could do. Helpless, Gu Meng Meng could not do anything to Sandy when she was stubborn, so she could only smile and say, "Don't worry, I won't let you wait for too long." Sandy nodded with a smile. The two of them hugged each other and chatted for a long time. The next morning, Gu Meng Meng and the rest departed from Sauder. The atmosphere in the conference room was terrifyingly low. Cole had thrown a huge tantrum and was now sitting on the main seat, looking maliciously at the group of elders who were kneeling on the ground and shivering. "Weren't you guys unwilling to be suppressed by the Wolf Clan? Now that their Wolf King has left and that motley crew is in our territory, it's clearly a situation where we're at the mercy of others. Yet, you're advising me to reconsider while trembling in fear. Heh, what are you thinking about? Why don't you tell me, what should I be thinking about?" Cole smacked his hand and the armrest of the stone chair was smashed into pieces, sending debris flying everywhere. "You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."